Hey there. This is Story Story Late Night, the positively shameless black sheep of our Story Night family, where you hear bleep-worthy stories on an unblushing theme. I'm Artistic Director Jody Eichelberger. I hope you can remember your lock combo, because our theme today is Lock Her Up, stories of getting schooled. Our show intermixes curated stories with a community story slam. Here's guest late night host Alisha Donahue and featured storytellers Jaymie Hogg, Ryan Donahue, and Arden Vermillion.
Thank you. Thanks. Welcome back. Happy end of summer. I am a teacher. We talked about that last month. You might remember, but we're not going to talk about what happened last month because apparently that gets us banned by the FCC. So tonight's theme is Lock Her Up, which I figured appropriate here in the penitentiary setting and also back to school. So tonight's stories are themes of getting schooled, whatever that means to you, whether that means literally at school, whether that means by the universe, however that resonates with you. I want you to put your name in that slammer booth tonight. Maybe we'll call your name and we'll tell some stories. I wanted to tell a little story of my own, just to kind of kick things off a little bit. So once upon a time, about 19-ish years ago, I was at work and a friend of mine said, "Well, you get sick every single morning about the same time. Girl, you pregnant?" And I was like, nah. But from that moment on, everything had changed. Everything was different. From that moment on, you're waiting for something. Sitting in the bathroom, waiting for those lines to turn pink. Waiting for the baby to be born. Waiting to lose the baby weight. Waiting for school to start. Waiting for summer to start. Waiting for summer to be over. Waiting for school to start again. You're waiting to potty train. You're waiting for something to happen, something different to happen. There are so many diapers and feedings and book reports and tuck-ins and fevers and heartbreaks and just one more story and where are your shoes? And find your shoes and oh my God, where are your shoes? Put your shoes on. And mommy, 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 mommy. And the days are so long. The days are so long, but it turns out the years are so short. I'm not mommy anymore. Sometimes I'm mom. Sometimes I'm mother. Most often these days, I'm bruh. I dropped my son off at the University of Idaho last week. The days are long, but the years are so short. He's up at school, and he's living his best life, and the best part of his life starts now. And the days went so fast, it turns out. And I'm so, so proud of him. The best part of his life starts today. So we knew that this day was coming, and what's more, we had trained for it. We trained for this day. This was the point. He can go potty by himself now. He almost always knows where his shoes are. But he's up there with a roommate who asked him how he feels about smells, and he doesn't know what that means. But he's about to find out. We're all about to find out. Last month when we were all together, we did an exercise that I teach in my preschool where we take a deep breath together and we say a little affirmation that goes, I'm brave, I'm safe, I've got this. This month I'd like to do something similar, but I want to teach you a different exercise that I teach my preschoolers, and it's called We Wish You Well. And it's where you take all the love in your heart and you take a deep breath. So let's do that together. And we're going to send all that love and all that energy. We're going to send it straight up to Moscow. We're going to send it to Ben. We're going to send it to his poor roommates. We're going to send it to all the kids who are starting school and for kindergarten for the first time. We're going to send it to anyone you know who might need a little extra love and encouragement. We're going to send it to the blessed teachers. So a deep, deep breath all together. And we wish you well. We wish you well. Thank you. All right, let's get this story started tonight, shall we? Let's do this. Thank you. Thanks. So I mentioned true stories told live on stage by the people who lived them. We have 3 featured storytellers this evening. Hi, Jessica. We have 3, thanks for being timely. I'm just kidding. We have 3 featured storytellers tonight intermingled with story slammers, which is you. This is going to be a short and boring show unless you guys get up and put your name in the basket right over here at the slammer booth. In between storytellers, I'll reach my hand in the bucket and pull you out, and you can have your chance to come up here and tell your story. So visit the slammer booth at any time tonight. I want to bring our first featured storyteller up to the mic right now. She is a teacher. She is a friend. I am proud to welcome Miss Jaymie Hogg.
Oh, I feel so important. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna put my readers on because now I'm midlife here. And I thought that the clipboards were out. However, I saw Miss Alisha had hers, so.
Well, I have like these kind of notes.
I don't have it. Or what are you gonna do, lock me up? Just kidding. Well, I can see you all right now. I'm happy to be here tonight. I'm happy that now that I know Miss Alisha was my daughter's teacher, and the first thing she said when we went to kindergarten was, I am brave, I am smart, I can do this. And it just came out of her, and so no worries about her. Yeah, she's doing big things thanks to Miss Alisha. So, yeah. And you had to deal with that spicy girl. Ooh. Are there any teachers here tonight? Oh, there really are. I'm actually really surprised. Good for you. Thank you so much for being here. I really thought everyone was going to be home, cuddled up or doing their lesson plans or in bed, at least anybody I asked. But thanks for being here tonight. I'm pretty excited to be here because I actually was schooled earlier this summer, and I'm just going to make this a small note. I was schooled by postpartum and thyroiditis and perimenopause, and I almost changed my story right here at the last minute because I've had a hard time kind of jumping back into the game here because being a woman's fun. And I missed a few opportunities to tell this story, so I'm happy that you asked me to come back and tell the story today. So my story today is about that class. Does anyone know that class? Yeah. Okay, those of you that are not, you were that class. Okay? I'm just gonna tell you right now, because this is what happened when I asked my husband. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you were that class. Trust me, we went to high school together. Yeah, so this is about that class. And if you haven't heard of that class, obviously it's you, but you've probably heard from your nephews, your nieces, your children, like someone has at least mentioned that class before. So picture this, many years ago when I was so much younger and single and no children, and I didn't have to bathe kids tonight, so thank you. Full of energy. I just graduated from grad school, was just switched districts. I was so excited. I was so excited to teach the world. And I had just gotten a job in 4th grade in another school district. Little did I know that this class was so diverse. It had so many specialized education plans I couldn't count. 8 different languages. We had Nepali and Chinese and Vietnamese, Swahili, Spanish, French, Arabic, English. And this class is the class that schooled me. One of my students, many of my students were refugees. And we had a story assignment where the students were able to write a narrative. And it could be any topic that they wanted. And this particular student wrote a book about a fat panda that swam to America and was never hungry again. And that, I know, that sunk deep when I read that. He was the fat panda in the story. I had another student that I kept finding live flies in the mesh side of his zipper pouch. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, and I couldn't figure out where they were coming from. And this student was still learning English as well, and so I couldn't really ask him until one day I caught him catching a fly, Mr. Miyagi chopstick style, with his pencils, and carefully placed it into the zipper pouch. I wasn't even mad. I was so impressed. Like, maybe this was the same fly. I don't know. These were all new things I had never experienced before. I had a couple students on the spectrum. One of these students was super anxious, and he would pull his eyebrows out when he was wondering when it was time for him to be pulled for class, and would look at the clock. Little did he know that was part of his intervention, to be picked up a few minutes late so that he could learn to cope with some of those skills. So lots of things going on. This is just a tiny little picture of all the things going on in this classroom. So here I am, super excited, 32 kids in the classroom, 4th grade. I'm like, yes, I got this. And there's all sorts of different levels. So naturally, centers. Right, teachers? I'm like, what am I going to do? I got to differentiate here. So I begin by introducing the project. And the whole thing at the beginning of the year is teamwork, teamwork, teamwork. We want everybody to show teamwork and be kind and respectful to one another. So we did a pre-teamwork activity to make sure that everybody was on board, focusing what a team looks like and a team sounds like and feels like. We do little chants in my class. I think maybe you started with me because I'm like rated G elementary. But if you could help me out with a few things, like if I say teamwork, you say dreamwork. Teamwork. Dreamwork. Teamwork. Dreamwork. And then we went through some acronyms for team. I don't know if I can hold this and do it. Okay. When I say mirror, you say mirror. 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 T. Team. Just kidding. T. Together. You're doing so well. Oh my gosh. Okay, next one. E. Everyone. I know the next letter. A. All together. M. More. And we did that multiple times. And we brought together, and everyone was like, these aren't rules, these are agreements. We're gonna be a team, here we go. And I was so excited, I forgot what the assignment was, but it was like teamwork and dreamwork and teamwork and dreamwork, and I'm here and you're there, and we were off. And I was so excited until I started walking around and I was checking in. I was like, hey, who's the scribe in your group? Okay, who's the reporter in your group? Good. Okay, you're doing great. Oh, fact checker? Well, rock, paper, scissors, figure it out. Okay, good. Editor? Okay, everybody's got a job, everyone's on the teamwork. They're making a poster, but I forgot, I don't know, but teamwork is the dream work. And we all signed a contract, and we're gonna do this really awesome, cool teamwork thing. So after we introduced the project and I was walking around, I noticed that one of the students needed to use the restroom. So I was like, yeah, go for it. Sign out, make sure I know where you're at, right? Because safety first. And after about 10 to 15 minutes, I noticed he hadn't returned. So I proceeded to ask the students group if so-and-so ever returned from the restroom. And then they replied, no. And he has not participated in his teamwork duties either. Where is this kid? So I went out. This is a scary thing for a teacher when you don't know where a kid is for a second, even if they're in the bathroom. 15 minutes is too long. So open the door, go out, side. Where's he going? You look down the halls, can't find him. Send someone into the bathroom. Can you just take a look? I don't know, just see if he's in there. So he peeked in, and he said to me, oh, Miss Hogg, you're going to want to come see this. So luckily, this is right across the hall from me, so I was able to go and see. And I peeked in, and I saw student so-and-so taking apart the bathroom stalls, screws in the sink, and half a door hanging from its hinge. And I asked him, what are you doing? And why aren't you with your group? And he replied, he wouldn't work with those imbeciles who don't have adequate research to support their claims, and because they wouldn't let him be the group leader. I've never dealt with this before. Speechless, then of course thinking, I need some support. Who can I call right now? But I responded with, okay, you have two choices here. You can either come in and do all 4 of the jobs, or you can come in and do the one job that was assigned to you with your group. And he came back into class. Luckily, came back into class. That's just one story. We had another story where we all ran the mile. You guys remember the mile? Like, we're gonna time you, go! Right? And usually they don't have a track, and so you're just running the playground like 16 times. Yeah, so the whole class was running the mile, and so came back to class through the courtyard, because we had like a door in the courtyard, so he came through like the back door. And I looked up at so-and-so, and I was like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. And he said, I told the PE teacher that I had my cardiovascular system didn't need to be worked today because I had already been to recess. Meanwhile, there was another student that was standing in the middle of one of those 16 loops, fist down, head up, straight to the air, like you see one of those Peanuts characters screaming, literally, in the air, doing nothing but screaming, and hands clasped together. That class didn't like to run. This is all the same year. This is probably the same month. So then later this fall, we had a whole school-wide poetry slam where the 5th graders came in. They had worked really hard to prepare their poetry and then to perform them in front of the entire school, and then we would snap because it was, like, good job, like to show that we were in agreement with how well they had done. So this certain student in the middle of one of the poems, actually maybe it was toward the end, I guess that was appropriate to say, stood up and booed. Really loudly. And I very discreetly escorted our friend out into the hallway. And he said, why did I have to leave? And I told him, well, it's not polite and respectful to boo someone's poem. And he responded with, it was a disgrace. It possessed no real poetry elements, such as meter, rhyme, figurative language, and his theme was lame. I responded, this may be your opinion, and you're entitled to it. But how would you feel if somebody booed your poem in front of the whole school? And for this instant, so-and-so was silent. And then he started crying and said, no, I made him feel so sad. I didn't mean to do that. Oh no, I want to go right in. I want to tell him that I'm so sorry. It's not his fault that he doesn't have poetry skills. He can still learn them, I suppose. So this was my first break. This was my first breakthrough with our students in that class. Okay, I can help these students disagree with other people's ideas respectfully. Okay, this is where we're headed. Because the diversity of that classroom was a melting pot of what it's like to live in our entire world of multiple cultures and abilities and languages. It was like a little classroom sample of the whole world's unique differences. And this is a really good representation of how we all have something different or in common with one another, and how we can learn to live with one another because, well, the classes did not change, and we didn't fly anyone to the moon, and we didn't create our own planets. We had to learn to live with each other. And I was their facilitator, and it was the most challenging and most life-changing experience I ever had. Then, Then, decades later, I opened my email. And so wrote his teachers as a high school graduate, thanking his small group of teachers in his life for helping him learn and grow and not being imbeciles like that one world history teacher at that one school that wouldn't listen to his reasoning about why his assignments were a waste of time and he was sent to ISS detention for arguing. And now today, full circle, unbeknownst to me, I am a full classroom teacher of twice gifted students. And as I learn more about the neurodivergent world, I realize debating is one of the main characteristics of these students. And it comes from a place of justice and injustice that their voice needs to be heard, supported, and given opportunities to hear perspectives and experience people from all walks of life. But before you get all weepy and think I'm actually a wonderful person, I was offered to teach this class again in 6th grade, and I denied it. My name is Jaymie Hogg, and that's my story.
Jaymie Hogg, you got, I did that. That was my fault. I did it. One more time for Jaymie Hogg, please. All right, we are going to bring up, do we have any names in the basket? We do. Okay, we're going to bring up our first slammer of this evening. Now remember, you have 5 minutes to share your story inspired by our theme. When you're running out of time, when you get to 5 minutes, I'm going to cue the Moths, who are going to play you off. Now reminder, this is not a soundtrack. This is not an underscore. This is not time for you to really feel your story. It's time to stop. So we've got a hard stop tonight. Thank you. We've got a hard stop. So also there's some lights down here, which you will see turn red if you're paying attention, but the moths are much more eye-catching. So, all right, I'm going to reach into the basket. Here we go. Oh, drum roll, please. Matt Cone, Matt. Here comes Matt. In all his shoeless bravado, Matt, welcome to the stage.
Well, I've never done this before, but to set the stage, imagine that you are in the dormitory on the grounds of a Benedictine monastery in southern Colorado, steadying a 90-pound undergraduate as she retches violently into her sink. And you are thinking to yourself, how many more hours can this go on until I have to take her to the hospital? Now, you may have to imagine that, but that is exactly where I was as an assistant, untenured professor teaching geology field camp in Canyon City, Colorado. Now, field camp, for those of you who don't know, you take students, you put them in the field, and they map the distribution of geological units, and they make an interpretation of how they got to be where they are. We were on the very last day of the last project of our field camp, very last day of field camp. We were working in a place called the Mixing Bowl, which is about what it sounds like. It's a bowl, big depression. It was over 100 degrees that day, and there was virtually no shade. So we were all really happy to get back to our dormitory on the Benedictine monastery until around 7 o'clock, a student came to me, and she said, Matt, can you come help me? I'll just make up her name. I'll just call her Julie. That's not her real name. Julie can't stop throwing up. And so I went to her room, and sure enough, I would give her a little bit of water, and she would throw up. And I'd give her a little bit of dilute, salty drink, and she would throw up. And I would give her some ginger ale, and she'd throw up. And I'd give her some crackers, and she would throw up. And I would give her nothing, and she would retch into the sink anyway. And in between then, she would lie on her bed, and I would put a wet washcloth on her forehead to try to keep her steady. And this went on and on and on, basically drinks and sinks for literally 3 hours. And around 10:30, I said, Julie, we just need to go to the hospital. And she said, sure, that's fine. So took her to the hospital. She got hooked up with an IV, and in about 45 minutes, she was fine. Okay, disaster averted. Until I got a phone call from her parents, who wanted to know what the hell she was doing in the emergency room. Now, what I didn't know was that Julie was supposed to call her parents every evening, and she hadn't because she was retching in a sink. And so her parents, in some alarm, had called the Canyon City Police Department, sent the police to the dormitory. They'd talked to some students. The students had said, oh, Matt took her to the emergency room. The police told her parents she's in the emergency room, and they started freaking out. And in truth, they had been kind of freaking out all summer because we had been getting phone calls from them periodically saying, you are being way too harsh on our students. And they didn't really bring up, the phrase Nazi death march, but that was clearly what they were thinking about. And I said, oh, no, we know what we're doing. Well, not me, like I'd only been doing this for a few years, but I was working with people who had been teaching field camp for 10, 15 years. I said, no, everything is safe, we know what we're doing. And now their daughter had ended up in the emergency room. Great. And so they were about to drive out, spend 20 hours driving nonstop to come rescue their daughter. And I said, look, it's the end of field camp. We're going to be leaving tomorrow. If you do that, we're just going to pass somewhere in Kansas. I'll bring her to the rendezvous point in Georgia. You can pick her up. Everything will be okay. And they agreed to that, and that's what happened. So I took them there. They didn't really say anything. They just kind of picked her up. That was it. But now you can imagine what I'm thinking. Like, I am so going to get my ass sued over this. Like, this is reckless endangerment, and I'm an untenured professor, right? I'm going to get fired for endangering students. And so, I have all of these thoughts going on in my head. And so I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it was like 2 or 3 months later, the shoe did drop. Julie walked into my office. Whoa. That's her middle name. Walked into my office. Hey, Matt, how's it going? Oh, pretty good. What's up with you? Oh, I just came by to say hello, chit-chat. I'm thinking, like, this is just driving me crazy. I say, Julie, I am so sorry. I feel so terrible about this. I feel like I really let you down. She says, no, I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't drink enough water, and it's not about you. I said, well, I was sure your parents were going to sue me. And she says, no, we would never do that. I said, well, why not? She said, you saved my life. And, then she told me a little bit more. She had had a drug addiction problem. She had been in and out of the hospital several times. She had had heat exhaustion at least once or twice. She had really struggled to succeed. And she looked up to me as someone who could really, make something out of her life. And that explained everything. Like, suddenly it all made sense. But, I'm not in a profession that has heroes in it, right? We don't go around and save people's lives. And so I wasn't really thinking about it the way it would come out, but I said, I would do this for any student. Like, this is part of my job and what I want to do. And she looked at me and she said, I don't believe that. And I realized that it wasn't quite true because she really was a very special student. I knew she had struggled and I wanted to support her. And I said, okay, yeah, maybe not. But now, as I look back, now it's over 20 years on, I think about this and I realized I learned something that day. And every teacher out here knows that too, that there are many different kinds of students. There are students who are just a pain in the ass, and there are students that you really resonate with, and clearly she was one of those. But every teacher here knows, as I learned that day, that when push comes to shove, I would have done the same for any student, and every teacher here would have done the same. And how do I know that? It's because I'm a teacher, and that's what teachers do. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. That was the perfect amount of playoff. You guys are so intuitive. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, it is time, there you are, for our second featured storyteller this evening. This is a heavy story, and so why don't we all take a breath together right now? Let's do that together. Sometimes you get schooled in other ways. So I would like to welcome featured storyteller Ryan Donahue.
I went on a really scary ride at Disneyland. I don't normally do this kind of thing, but I was there with my son Alex. He was 21 at the time. We were there in Anaheim for the Star Wars celebration. Maybe you've heard of this. It's where all the Star Wars nerds get together, and we were big fans. So Alex and I waited in line for this ride for a really long time. The ride is Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Outbreak. It's billed as, sort of described as a terrifying drop tower experience. Emphasis on drop. So wait in line for what seems, at the same time to be a really long time, but also not nearly long enough to kind of process what we're about to do. And while you're waiting in line for this thing, there are tons of, signs the lawyers probably made them put up about if you have a heart condition, this might be a good time to assess your choices. Maybe turn around and leave. And at the time I thought, well, maybe, does that include broken hearts? Is that a condition that would apply here? So it's finally our turn. We get to the part of the ride where you sit down, you buckle up, and I'm thinking in sort of my naive way that there'll be some sort of, video, some instructional material, some kind of a moment to just acclimate to what's about to happen. But no, there's none of that. As soon as the buckles are clicked, Rocket Raccoon from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, he's on screen in front of us. He's got two kind of like zapping, sparking electrical cables in his hands, his little paws, and we rocketed into the sky. And I've learned about myself, even though I don't do these sorts of rides very often, when I am on an amusement park type of ride, I have an alternate personality. It's suddenly I have a beautiful falsetto singing voice. I can, it's somewhere between like a banshee and maybe like the Wicked Witch of the West, kind of cackling with laughter, and all the vocabulary just profanity. So we go, up and down, 100 feet up, 100 feet down, like 400 or 500 times. I lose count. And I'm just screaming. And Alex, though, next to me, is loving every second. He is smiling. He is laughing. He is alive. And for me, though, it was just raw catharsis. It was this moment it was just like pure lizard brain, just screaming. And it was like when we were done, I felt good. I felt so good. I felt alive. It was like I could finally scream out all of these things I had been carrying, because I'd been carrying quite a lot. The reason we were at Disneyland at this time, as I mentioned, we went to the Star Wars celebration. But before this, several years before this, Alex was diagnosed with a really rare form of liver cancer. And in those years in between, we had learned to not waste time. So we went on adventures. And this was probably our third epic adventure. We had 6 years before this, we actually went to London to see for Alex's Make-A-Wish, to see the filming and tour the set of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, one of the best films in the franchise, my personal opinion. Got to meet Mark Hamill himself, Luke Skywalker. That was a complete surprise. We didn't know that was going to happen. One of the best human beings on the planet, just FYI. A few years after that, we were back in Boise, and after a particularly difficult morning, sometimes you get great news at the doctor, sometimes you would not get great news. And this was one of those times that the news was just not super great. So we left the appointment, and I thought, well, the best thing we could go do is watch Star Wars Episode 8 again. It was in the theaters at this point. We'd already seen it probably 8 or 9 times. But we went, and sitting in that movie, I was really distraught. You just feel so powerless. You feel like you can't do anything in that moment. But one of the reasons I love these movies, I love any film that kind of inspires us and helps us think of things beyond our immediate moment. Watching that film in that 2.5 hours, I realized, well, yeah, I don't have the power to cure cancer. I don't have the power to stop any of this. But I have the power to do a lot of other things. And that's what I've got to do right now. So the movie ends, and I turned to Alex, and I said, I'll take you anywhere you want to go. I'll take you anywhere in this universe. And with zero hesitation, he said, Iceland. We're going to Iceland. He had done a project for school about a year prior to that about Iceland. And so we gathered up his older brother, Max, booked some tickets for Iceland and Ireland, did kind of a roundabout journey through all the islands, and just had an amazing, epic adventure. It was truly epic. I had to drive in a foreign country for the first time. Iceland does not really have like street signs that are pronounceable or navigable in English, but we did it. We faced all of these fears and we conquered it. After that, another trip we got to do in 2023, we took another amazing, epic European adventure, another Star Wars celebration in London. So started in London, and from there branched to Barcelona, and from there Alex went off on his own to Italy. He had a personal solo quest to meet this legendary butcher named Dario. You may have heard of him. Alex met Dario the butcher. He found his place. He had dinner. Alex doesn't speak any Italian, doesn't speak any Spanish. Like, he just did it. I was so proud of him. But jumping back, maybe 8 years before this, when Alex was first diagnosed, I mentioned his older brother Max came with us to Iceland. I think Alex's diagnosis really, it crushed Max. Max was the coolest older brother you can imagine having. Just a kind, genuine person. And Max was a musician. He made electronic music. He, at the tender age of 15, Max was invited to perform at Ranch Fest. It's a festival, it used to be a festival up in the Camas Prairie. And at 15 years old, Max composed an entire set of his own music. He made all of his own visuals to accompany this that were going to be projected on the stage. And so I remember going to this festival. It's like a camping festival, and just a great time together. We just got to spend a weekend just hanging out. And as a dad, I was so proud that he was going to have this moment up on stage. So his set was at midnight. So imagine midnight, Camas Prairie, just dark black skies everywhere. And just this little like blob of light and fun and festival in the middle of all that. So Max is up on stage. He's starting to perform. And behind him, it's like this cosmic, like epic performance is happening. There's a thunderstorm rolling in the back. And so you can hear the thunder. You can see the lightning on the horizon. And where I was kind of behind the crowd. I was behind all these cowboys and hippies all dancing together. It was just like this amazing moment where all of these different people were just having an incredible time at midnight watching my son do his art. And I realized I was, just beaming with pride, and I'm thinking, I'm running the projector for him. That's kind of what I'm able to do to help. And it's all his creation, but I'm just running the projector, and I'm thinking, it's probably not the best idea to stand under an aluminum ladder with a projector hooked to a cable, running to a barn, a couple hundred feet away. The tallest structures for miles in any direction. But I was standing there under this ladder, and I was so proud, and I thought, I don't care. If lightning takes me right now, it's worth it. I am not going to in any way interrupt this show. I can do this. I can stand here, and I can get through this. So in the years following, as we dealt with Alex's cancer, which just showed no signs of wanting to do the right thing at any point, I think, in my carrying my feelings about it, I started to become blind to things that were really obvious around me. And I became blind to how much Max, Alex's older brother, was suffering and how much he was carrying within him. And I think Max, in a way, was carrying more than all of us. And in my blindness, I could not see his pain. I could not see how much he was suffering, how much he was withdrawing. And I've learned that hindsight, it's a curse. In hindsight, everything becomes so crystal clear. A person, myself, I know exactly what I can do differently with hindsight. And it's a curse to sometimes live with that. So Max died by suicide on February 8th, 2021. This was something that, when I think about Max and when I think about his true character, I have sometimes wondered if this was a sacrifice that he made, if this was some sort of courageous martyrdom, or maybe just like simple tough love for his parents to say, you're going to have to do something, and just he pushed us into the fire to do it. In a moment, Max's death prepared us for the unimaginable, for Alex's death just 3 years later. 1,172 days after Max died is when Alex died. Alex, in all that time, Alex, he endured so much. He was a man amongst men. He was the kindest. Alex has 2 younger brothers, the kindest, most generous older brother you can imagine, the strongest man I have ever met. In 9 years that he carried this cancer, he was poked, prodded, he was beat up, he was cut up. He was just basically like dehumanized and humiliated with all of his treatments. And he never complained once. He never once had a bad attitude. He did complain about hospital food, but he was a chef. He was a culinary genius. I don't think I mentioned that, but Alex had every right to have opinions about the hospital food. But thinking about enduring this, this level of grief can be something that is so powerful. And so it's been 4 years since Alex died. 4 years since Max died. It's been a year since Alex died. And in that time, I have come to find out about myself that I've split into 2 different people. There's the one Ryan that I don't like, I'm really scared of. That Ryan, his rage is like, it could destroy the sun. It is so powerful at times. That Ryan just begs for the devil to appear to make a bargain with. Like, I'd make any bargain for 1 more second. But then I think about, looking inward, can I endure this just for me? And so I start to think about, I want to think about Max and Alex and their afterlife, which, is this life. This is the afterlife. This is their afterlife. And what I think I can do when I think about the things that they loved, when I think about the people they loved, when I think about the world they wanted to see for their younger brothers, when I think about all the good things they enjoyed while they were alive, it's like, then I think I can endure it. I can endure it for that, to keep fighting for those things that they wanted. And so when I think about all the things that are still here, I flash back to those moments on the ride at Disneyland and in the Camas Prairie, and I think I can do things like metaphorically, symbolically. I can stand under that aluminum ladder, and I can do that to stand up for the world that I know Max wanted to see. And I can laugh in the face of death like Alex did on that ride. And when I think of all the things that are still here, and when I think about their mom, their brothers, their friends, that whole world, all of that is still here. And I'm still here, and I've still got work to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm their mom. That's it's hard for me to listen to that story and then come up and be like, "Hey, everybody!" So anyway, real quick. Hey, everybody. Okay. Everyone sees the teachers in school But you don't always see the school admin behind the scenes, and it's kind of like that at Story Night too. You see the hosts, but not the admin behind the show, and you're going to meet a couple of them here tonight. I'm not sending you to the principal's office, but I am going to invite the treasurer from Story Night up here for a brief announcement. So here is board member Carrie Bruce.
Well, I don't really want to follow that story at all. Thanks, everybody, for coming tonight, and a big hand for our storytellers. That was a super powerful story. Thank you. I'm Carrie Bruce, and I'm the treasurer of Story Night, and I'm not going to ask you for any money. But what I am going to ask you for is your time, potentially. We are looking for new board members for the board. And if you know your way around a budget, if you've ever heard of a contract, if you have ever heard of QuickBooks, I am going to be over at the Slammer booth during the intermission, because I'm standing between you and your cold drink or your bathroom break. Please come over and have a chat with me. We're also looking for other general board members beyond the treasurer's position, but we'd really love to have you and your time. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Carrie. All right, we are going to take a quick 10-minute intermission. This is a great time for you to refresh your drinks right around the corner. This is a great time for you to put your name in the Slammer basket. We also have some new merch available by the bar. We have some Story Night stickers and punch cards, good for any of our shows that you can give as a gift or use yourself. So we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Enjoy the Moths when we come back. Thanks so much. All right, Moths are going to do their featured song now, Mr. Preacher Man, and then we're going to bring it back. So if you've got, how long is this song? Probably like, 4 minutes? 4 minutes. You've got 4 minutes to put your name in that slam basket. Meanwhile, we're going to have our own slam basket right here of our own. Please welcome Moths!
Yeah, I haven't. Sorry, I had a joke. You said slammer, and I almost said, yeah, that's enough time for you to come back from the slammer, too. Am I right or am I right? Sorry, you give me a microphone. I can't stop. I just start telling dad jokes. This is not an invitation to tell me a dad joke. Maybe next time. So I mentioned we write a lot. Well, I wrote this one a lot. You know, a lot of biblical references in here, too. So if there's any Bible fans, this one's for you. Mr. Preacher Man, you say the end is nigh, that blood will fill the oceans and the sun will cease to rise. guys so much.
Oh, God! The motherfucking Moths! You thought you were coming here tonight to listen to some NPR stories. You didn't know you were coming to get your faces melted. Welcome to August, baby.
Stop. You can keep going.
Welcome to back to school. Welcome to back to school. All right, you guys. So we've had some time to shake off Act 1. We are going to take a hard left here pretty quick. I am going to do a slammer real quick. Does everyone get a chance to put your names in the basket? Literal crickets. Cool. All right. The basket, please. Brig Van Austin. Brig. Coming? He's coming. She's coming. Brig. Hey, I met you earlier. Hey. Okay. Brig Van Austin.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually sharing a story about how I schooled someone. I was bullied as a kid, like weren't we all, by somebody? But it was relentless by this guy, asshole, boy, that lived around the corner from me. And I would have to walk past his house with his friends every time to get to my friend's house. And he was horrible to me. I had red hair and freckles. I was awkward. I still am. And he would just come up with the meanest things ever, and his friends would join in. It was horrible. I was probably in 6th grade, then 7th grade, and then eventually I made it into high school. And he was like the absolute worst. And I get onto the track team, and guess who's our star runner? He is. He's 2 years ahead of me. So by the time I was in 10th grade track, my second year of track team, I did high jump. And he was like the sprinter and was going to go to the best college on scholarship. And he'd still look my way, but I didn't let him get close enough to give me any insults. Got a little tougher. But I would watch him, and here's our star runner going behind the equipment shed to piss. He's too lazy to go up the stairs to use the actual restroom. Now being this age, I get it. You guys go in your own backyard to pee. Okay, I know this now. But back then, I was like, that's like super lazy and not kind of gross. And so flash to that year, he was graduating, full scholarship to UCLA. You know, the world was his oyster. And we had a track banquet. And I was really good at writing. So I decided to write the coach an anonymous letter about how concerned I was that he was going to be going to this incredible college, full scholarship, and he didn't know where to use the bathroom. So I wrote a really witty letter, thinking that there's no way this letter is going to resurface. And it's at the end of the banquet. Everyone's been handed out things. Now, we're in the gym, but everyone's dressed nice. You know, this is like a really fancy event. And the coach, Mr. Smith, comes up and says, "Oh, I have one more award to give out. And this comes with a letter." And I am like holding my mom's hand under the table, like, there's no way. And he opens my letter and he reads it verbatim. And he presents a piss bottle. And that's how I schooled the bully that bullied me for years. Thank you.
That was so fast, I didn't even have to do anything. I didn't have to play her off, I wasn't ready. Woo! All right. Hey, if you wish that you had some help crafting a story like these that you're hearing tonight, you are in luck. We are hosting a free Story Night studio right behind us at the Bishop House this Thursday, led by Patty O'Hara. Here to tell you more about it is another board member and studio coordinator, Courtney Shea Maxwell.
Hi, I'm Courtney. I am on the board. Thank you. My service on the board is the studio program where we give workshops and hold workshops, storytelling workshops for our community. And yes, we, because of our cultural ambassadorship, are privileged to provide a free storytelling workshop at the Bishop's House this Thursday, 6 to 8, led by Patty O'Hara. And it's going to be pretty awesome. The theme is taking the plunge, jumping into the deep end. So Patty's got a lot of fun stuff that is going to be implemented in the workshop. And you can sign up under the events tab on our website. So thank you. See you on Thursday.
Okay. It is time for featured storyteller number 3. Now, it's dark. Arden, I can't see where you are. So you should come this way. There you go. Got it. I don't know what's going on. You guys could all be naked right now. I don't know. Which, appropriate. This story, we're going off the rails right now. Arden actually submitted for last month for Hot Mess, but I decided, in a way, she really got schooled, and I just wanted to hear this story so much that we're like, you know what? We're wedging it in. So please put your hands together for Arden Vermillion.
Hard left turn is right. I have two perfect little brothers that I love very much, and the running joke in our family is that, well, between me and my brothers, my parents both shake their heads and won't say anything for legal reasons. But the running joke is that I'm the black sheep, and I made all the mistakes and did all the dumb shit so that my brothers can use me as an encyclopedia of what not to do. And so far, they're really taking advantage of this resource. And so I did something good in my life. That's great. Skipped college, and I'm doing this. So there I was in my early 20s in the biggest hoe phase of my life. I had recently gotten out of my first committed gay relationship. Yeah, gay. And that first heartbreak hits a little bit harder for some reason. And I just want to give some context of like why I was at rock bottom. So I met this person at work. We worked in a deli. We were both big fans of roast beef sandwiches, et cetera, et cetera. We date for a couple of months, and we do something that is known to the sapphic and lesbian community as U-hauling. For those of you who don't know what U-hauling is, it's a term used to describe a very quick move-in process where you date for an insanely short period of time and you just move in together and just see how it goes. She moves in with me and my roommates at the time, and for a while, everything's great. I'm gonna marry her. This is happily ever after. All the terrible stuff was worth it. And then it starts to break down in a chemical process I like to call undiagnosed and untreated mental disorders. On both our parts, I'll say that. There's a cat in the neighborhood, for example. She convinces me that we are this cat's savior. We need to rescue this cat. I don't want a fucking cat. I don't want a pet. That's a lot of responsibility. I'm not responsible. I'm in my early 20s working at a deli. I say, fine, you can have the cat in our house. I don't want it. I'm not gonna name it. I'm not gonna take care of it. It's all you. I name him Milo. Because I Googled common pet names in an attempt not to be attached. But I do a pretty good job. I give her money so that he can go get vaccinated, chipped, fixed, all the things. Most of this money, come to find out later on, was used for the purchase of drugs. The relapsing was a whole thing for her. It gets to the point where at one point I'm physically abused, which is fine. Honestly, I'm fine. She's maybe 90 pounds soaking wet. It's kind of like waiting out a toddler's tantrum until they get tired. And you're just thinking to yourself the whole time, I can't believe that my roommates know what a bad partner I am. Bedtime soon. Hopefully she'll wrap it up. And then the cheating, I didn't even know there were that many options in our city as far as like gay people to cheat on me with. I was like, good for you, that sucks. And I did what any self-respecting person would do. I decided that I would wait it out until she dumped me. So she dumps me. And I decided therapy? No. Hoe phase, for sure. That'll fix this. That'll make me better. So I'm like, more experience with the ladies. That sounds great. I don't have a ton. Obviously, I need to figure it out. So I'm like, I Google like gay bar near me, and one thing comes up, and I'm like, okay. And I go. And I sit at the bar with my AMF, and I just make awkward eye contact at pretty ladies. Casanova style. And I see this woman on the dance floor, and I'm like, way out of my league, like everybody I'm attracted to. And so obviously she's perfect, and she comes up to the bar eventually, where I'm still sitting, where my adios motherfucker cocktail is living up to its name. And I go, can I get you a drink? For some reason, she says yes. We dance, we flirt, we talk, we make out in the bathroom, sorry. And then we moved the party to her place, and we take an Uber, and it's a little fuzzy. I hope she had a good time. I had a great time. She falls asleep, and I'm like, I'm gonna do the gentlemanly thing, and I'm gonna sneak out. So I don my flannel. I hook my carabiner to my pants. And I do like a Grinch sneak out of there. And I get the shame Uber back to my house. And I figure, this is great. I could do this a lot. I think this is fine. This is the way to do it. So I frequent this gay bar quite a bit over the next couple of months. And then I start to notice a worrisome pattern developing where, like, I'm super popular with disgruntled married couples who are, like, looking to feel something. And, like, yeah, threesomes with couples, it's all fun and games until they get in a screaming match during the threesome, and then you have to, like, take your pants and your boots and you, like, go out and you put it on in the yard while you wait for your shame Uber. Not based on a real example. Life lesson, pro tip, you guys, if you're gonna fuck couples in small town city of Boise, just be prepared to see them at the grocery store, like, every couple of months until you move or die. Just otherwise it's great. And I figure I need a little change of scene. I'm getting tired of being the unicorn, sparkly, bisexual, young 20-something Band-Aid over a bullet hole situation. And I'm like, I'm gonna go to a saloon. That's different. So I go to a saloon where there are, like, mounted animal heads from 1908, like, judging my life choices. And there's, like, a pool table that's, like, you know, not up to standards. And fun fact also, another life lesson pro tip, don't order an AMF at a saloon. It's just gonna cause judgment. Whiskey-based cocktails or, you know, one of those Long Island iced teas, which is just an AMF. It's just brown, so it looks less fruity. I don't know. And so I'm, like, sipping on one of those, and I look across the room and I see this gentleman, and I'm like, not usually what I go for, but he's got the silver fox thing going on in here. Me and my daddy issues are like, I make eye contact, and he, like, graciously comes over and is like, can I get you a drink? And I'm like, yes, thank you. It worked. You don't need game when it comes to fellas sometimes. And the conversation's great, and we have a good time, and I'm, like, not even really drinking a lot, and then he doesn't get us an Uber because he has a car, and, and we go back to his house, and while we're driving, I'm sitting there looking out the window, trying to ignore the voice in the back of my head that sounds like my mother that's like, serial killer, personal safety, what are we doing, bud? And I'm thinking, like, I'm starting to have deja vu. I've been doing this a lot. Maybe I should try therapy. No, that's... we're having fun tonight. This is about me, and I'm not going to think about therapy. And we get to this house in the middle of suburbia, and I'm like, okay, this is it. We go upstairs, and we have an okay time. He did his best, and I admire that in a man. Effort is sexy, guys. Life lesson, pro tip. And then I conk out. I'm so exhausted after, and I wake up in the morning and my mouth is, like, glued together, and it feels like I've drank sand, and I'm like, oh God, those whiskey cocktails are no joke. So I don't even bother with pants. I don my flannel. Carabiner was left behind this time. And I, like, Grinch sneak down the stairs. And I'm in the kitchen. I'm filling up this coffee mug with water at the sink, and I hear behind me, oh. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I turn slowly, no pants. And there's a girl there, and I'm like, oh, I know this girl. I ran out on this girl in the middle of the night like an asshole. And I'm like, I fucked her roommate, fuck. And she goes, what are you doing here? And I'm like, it's not obvious? Okay, there's a man upstairs. And she just kind of looks at me for a minute, and then she goes, my father? So we just kind of stand there with like mutual horrified silence. And I'm like, and then eventually, because I have no defense, I just stand there. And eventually she goes, how do you feel about pancakes? And we all had breakfast together, and it was great and awkward and terrible and great, but and it could have been really bad. So, pro life lesson tip for you and my little brothers who hopefully never hear this. If you're gonna be a hoe about your shitty breakup, go to Meridian, Timbuktu, Canada. I don't fucking care. Don't do it in Boise, Idaho. Thank you guys. I'm Arden. Have a great night.
Arden Vermillion! Brig, I forgot to tell you to go fill out your release form. So Brig, if you're still here, go fill out your release form. Arden, also fill out your release form. It's time for another slammer. Here comes the. I should just load my pockets with the tickets. I'm gonna forget to tell you after you do your story slam, for which you have 5 minutes. I'm gonna forget to tell you apparently to go over and sign the release form. So when you're done telling your story, go over and sign the release form. Let's see. Here we go. Amber A. Oh, I see her. Amber. You're the one who raised your hand when she asked if anyone was a teacher. Yeah, teachers! Give it up for teachers! Yes, girl! Yes, early childhood.
Not quite as much as her. Oh my gosh. It's great, I can't see any of you. I'm Amber. I used to teach. It's like, hi, my name is Amber, and I used to teach in the district that is west of us in Ada County. The district formerly known as Meridian, when I taught there. So I was in South Boise. When I taught there, I taught first grade. My population there, I now teach in Boise. Where I can have this sign up in my classroom. But I taught first grade, and my population at my school, super naive. The kiddos, the first graders, 6-year-olds, super naive. So they would come into school, and I had the lunch menu like posted right here by the door, and they would say, Miss Amber, or Miss Armstrong at that point, what is that? And at that time, this was like 15 years ago, they'd be like, today's lunch on the calendar is rotini with Alfredo sauce con pollo. And I'd be like, oh, it's spaghetti with white sauce and chicken. So they'd be like, okay. So I have a kid come in one time, and they had a lunch menu that I always got because it was delicious. Inaptly named at that time, it was called Wiener Wrap. And I had a 6-year-old come in and go like, hey, Miss Amber, what is Wiener Wrap? And I was like, oh, have you ever had like a pig in a blanket? It's a hot dog with fresh dough wrapped around it. It's delicious. They make the dough. And she'd be like, oh, okay. Because I thought it was a wiener, and I don't want to eat a boy's wiener. And I was like, not yet. But that was, at that point, I thought that in my head, right? So I was like, sure. Okay, did your 6th grade brother tell you that? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, he's just teasing you. That's not okay. A few days later, or a week or something, we're talking about something, and I don't know if anybody grew up in this area or in the like Northwest, where it was kind of a cool thing to go to the Portland Zoo and see the naked mole rats. Okay, yeah, they're still there. We just went this summer. After seeing the baby elephant, we went and saw the naked mole rats. But that was a cool thing. We went there like every summer. And somehow naked mole rats came up, and like everybody, this poor little naive sheltered group in South Boise, Ada County. We're like, naked mole rats. What are you, naked? I was like, yeah, that's not a bad word. Like, it's an animal, it lives in, someone's like, I have a book from the library. It's in my backpack. And I was like, sweet, bring it out. Let's read this book. So she brings out the book, and I turn to the page, and it's like not Nat Geo, but like that. It's a new book from our library. I open it up, and I'm reading it. I have a parent volunteer who is not the judgmental naive. She's like a compadre back there. I open the book, and I'm like, here's a photo of the naked mole rat. I'm like, sweet. It's long, and I'm reading verbatim. I should have taken a picture. It's oblong, flesh-colored, wiener-shaped body. And I'm like, shit. And in my mind, I'm like, wait a second. Like, I know Kleenex is like a copyrighted brand, so it's actually tissue. Like, is wiener? Or at least like hot dog, like a copyrighted name? And it's like generic name is wiener? I don't know. And like, I'm thinking that the parents like making eyeballs at me, laughing. And a kid shouts like, oh, like the wiener wrap. And I was like, yeah, like the wiener wrap. And someone else goes, that does look like my dad's wiener. And I'm like, I'm thinking uncircumcised, but again, that's my head talk. I'm like, okay, let's moving on. Yes, like a wiener wrap. I don't know why the fuck a book would say that I'm reading to you from our school library, but okay. So this was, 15 years ago. So I didn't get sued or like thrown out of my job or anything. The same class, it was sort of a naive class, generally, but there's our outliers, my friends. My teaching partner across the hall also teaches first grade. She had been my student teacher years before, and now she's my co-teacher. And she comes in one day, I think it's her second year, like as a full-time teacher, and she's like, oh my God, we were doing share. And back in this day, we were stupid and did share like this with 6-year-olds. We'd be like, put something in the bag, and then we'll all ask questions. Thinking, like, it'd be like 20 questions. We were like, is it an animal, vegetable, mineral? Like, oh, is it a mammal? Oh, is it a stuffed animal? Like, narrowing down our choices. No, this is like the worst 10 minutes of my day. Like, is it a chair? Is it a duck? Is it my t-shirt? I don't know. It's just lame. So we're doing that. I was like, oh yeah, you were doing share like we do. I don't know why we do it this way. Okay, that sounds good. And she's like, and then the kid pulls it out, and it's a teddy bear. And I was like, oh, cool, teddy bear. She's like, and this kid in the class goes, all that for a fucking teddy bear? And I'm like, what'd you say? And she's like, well, I tried to do what we talked about, where you just kind of like ignore it and like move on, because sometimes when you draw attention to it, they bring it up, right? Or they're like, and she's like, I ignored it. I was like, oh, great, what happened? She's like, well, everyone started whispering, like, that boy said fucking. That boy said fucking. And these are like the naive little kids. We're like, they said fucking. I'm like, okay. And she's like, so, it all went away. And she's like, okay. She said, so that's not a word we say at school. And I'm like, great. She's like, so I should call their parents. And I was like, no. She's like, why not? And I was like, because that kid has heard it in context too many times. You just tell him we don't say those words at school.
Naked mole rat. But sure, To Kill a Mockingbird is the problem. Let's ban that. When there's naked mole rats out there. The basket, please. Amber, don't forget to go put your name to sign the release form for the podcast and stuff, wherever you went. She's on it. She's on it. I'll forget again. If you're the slammer, here she comes. Here she comes with the basket. Don't forget, do the slam, sign the release. Here we go. Saul Beamer? Saul. my God. Oh, almost had to practice my first aid CPR, Saul. Oh my God, you're really tall.
Thank you so much. Can we get a big round of applause for her, please? Also, can I get a big round of applause for the Molgoth Moths? This is my old band teacher right here. Yes. Thumbs up. Okay, cool. So I didn't prep for this because I was peer pressured by my friends to do this. So I don't have like a really cool, entertaining, like inspiring story for you guys. So I just wanted to come up and talk about my biggest failure in school. Where do I start? So I was in this math class, which is a pretty rough place to start. Thank you, one person. So I was in this math class, and like I was getting like it was getting up to like the midterm, and just so everyone knows, I'm not good at math. I've like never really been good at math. And like, so like a lot of the time I just wouldn't pay attention and I would just like use my calculator for things. And like, it gets up to like the midterm and for some reason my teacher was like, hey, for the midterm, let's do an essay. And like, if you think that an essay for a math class doesn't make sense, I said that to him several times. Yeah. And so, in protest, for some reason, it was like a 3-week long project, and for those 3 weeks, I didn't do it. And eventually, I forget about it until it gets to like the night before the project, and I remember very distinctly, I was laying on my couch sideways watching Spider-Man 2, and suddenly I realized that this project is tomorrow. And so, not only do I have to do 3 weeks worth of work, I also have to go back into my like textbooks and learn 3 weeks of material to then try and make this project work. So I remember like I black out and then I wake up from like a pile of like Monster Can energy drinks, and I submit it online because that's something we do now. And I go to class the next day, and the teacher is talking about the assignment, and eventually every kid's worst nightmare in school comes true to me. He points at me and he goes, Saul, do you mind standing up in front of the class? And so I stand up in front of the class, I'm a little, and he goes, guys, I've read all of your assignments, okay? But I want to point out Saul right here, because Saul right here is the only person in this entire class that got 100%. Now you might be thinking, this guy opened with, this is my biggest failure in school. And it is. Because immediately after he says that, keep in mind, I'm bad at math and I know this. What's up? Never mind. Never mind then. But I don't remember what this project was, anything about it. And so this teacher, this motherfucker says, I think Saul right here is the smartest guy in this class. If you have any questions, math-related questions, you guys should all talk to Saul. And so for 2 goddamn months, I was bombarded. I was harassed in these school hallways by these kids who probably have higher GPAs than I do, asking me for my wizardry in math. And like, how did you do it? And I was like, I watched Spider-Man 2 and I blacked out, dude. I don't know. And so, I don't know. I don't really know how to conclude this, but this is my... I don't know. Usually I come up here and I tell jokes. And if anyone's curious about how I do that, please don't ask me any questions because I don't actually know what I'm doing. That's me for now. Thank you, guys.
I'll put your name in the thing, Saul. Diabolical. Teachers are diabolical. And I can say it because I'm a teacher. I think we got time for another slammer. Yeah? Yeah, we do. We've got time for another slammer. The basket! Basket, basket. This just says Laura, but I suspect you know who you are. Laura? Her name's Julie. Julie? That's her middle name. Laura, here's Laura. Laura, also barefoot. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. I know her. Come on in.
Okay, I just put my name in like moments ago. Hi, my name's Laura, and I am a Brady Bunch mom. I have a blended family, and it goes like this. Well, no, let me put the timeline back to when the story happened. When this story happened, we had an 8th grade girl, mine, she's the baby, 9th grade girl, his, 10th grade boy, mine, 10th grade boy, his, 19-year-old, who just moved out of the house. And in case you guys don't know, in junior high, vaping is really cool. And we've come up with a few different ideas on how to bring attention to even the mayor on how amazing it is that you can buy vapes on every single corner of this town. But that's not what the story's about. So we're constantly busting our girls for vaping. And lo and behold, they start moving on up in the vaping world into the world of green vapes. And we suddenly realize, Curtis says to me, hey, I think she's high in the basement. Can you go see? I think she's high. And at that time, my kids were at their dad's. So I go check on our girl, and sure enough, she's high. She's down in the basement and doing all the like sleepy, drooling things, watching a movie. And I come up and I'm like, yeah, she's high. And he's like, oh, okay. So we immediately go into the world of humor with this and try to make light and come up with a game plan on what we're gonna do, which is what we're constantly doing in the world of having this many teenagers in our house. So we decide to pretend like there is a carbon monoxide leak. And we're yelling in the house, quick, everybody get out, there's a leak. And everybody comes up to the porch, and when I say everybody, we're half staff, right? Some of the kids are at their dads. And here comes our lovely 9th grade girl, and she's stumbling, and she's just standing on the porch, hi. And we're staying in this world of humor. We're not getting, we'll get there later, too concerned, but we're having fun. So he goes inside, pretends like he gets everything all figured out, and is like, yeah, the pilot was out and fixed it, and everything's good. So we invite her to hang out with us, and we start feeding her food, and she's got the munchies, and she's falling asleep and drooling. And so now we've got to make a game plan, and we try to hold our cool all weekend, and all weekend long she's hitting on her green vape. And we pretend like we're stupid and oblivious. And so she gets more and more high, right? And eventually, all the kids come back together, which is what we were waiting for. We didn't want to blow our cover until the girls were back together, because they were kind of texting each other on what was going on. And when turns out when you're high, you get a little sloppy and you don't really delete things on your phone. So everyone comes back together, and we sit everyone down for a family meeting, and we're like, so we need to have a family talk, and here's how it's gonna go. And we look at our daughter, and we're like, so we know we've been getting high all weekend long. And she's like, oh. Cover's blown. The other girl who's been at her dad's all weekend, same thing. So we're like, hand it all over, give it to us. And so one of them is really quick to show it all, right? And the other one's like, I don't have any. And in the texting, there was a little bit of a measurement that had been shared. And so Papa Bear is like, I know how much that is, and there's no way that you smoked all that, so hand it over. And she's like, I threw it away. I don't have it. It's gone. And so we kind of gave her a last chance, or else there was going to be a big price to pay. So one daughter gives us what she's got, the other one doesn't give us anything, and off they go. So the next day, they go to school, and turns out you can call the police on your own kids. And this is really good. It's so good. So call them up and we say, hey, we're suspected that there's drugs in our house and we've got a house full of teens. Can you please bring a canine and do a drug sweep? So they did. They came, and they did it while everyone was at school. So I made a video, and I'm recording the canine coming up to the house. I'm recording the canine going through the house, down to the basement, and going through all the parts. And I've never seen this. Maybe you guys have, but turns out it's not like the dog sits there and starts barking and pointing at where the drugs are. They just take a little seat, and then they keep going. And I've got all of this on the video. And once it's done going through the living room, then it goes to the bedroom, and it goes into the closet, kind of jumps up, takes a little seat, and they do it every time they smell a drug. So it jumps up on the bed, takes a little seat, and then when they're all done, the officer takes the canine out to the car, to his little place, and comes back, and every time that dog took a seat, he searches that area, pulls up under a rug, and there is another vape. So we knew that this was going to happen, and turns out we got a whole little handful of gadgets and things, and how they charge these vapes is ridiculous. Can practically light your house on fire. So they get back from school. We have dinner, not a big deal, and then the video gets shown to the kids. And they did not believe us that we were going to do this. And once she saw the dog jump up on her bed, she was like, oh, great. Now I'm going to have to wash my bed.
Thanks for listening. Story Night is the City of Boise Cultural Ambassador and is funded in part by the Idaho Commission on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts. Thank you to our media sponsor, Radio Boise. Our theme song was composed by Ned Evitt. Podcast production is by Stephen Baldessari. Please rate and review this podcast to help other story lovers find us. Thanks to guest host Alisha Donahue and guest musicians, the Molgoth Moths. Find out how to participate in our live show and even how to be a storyteller at STORiES.org or visit us on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Jody Eichelberger. Thank you for being a part of our story.